What's good, y'all? My name is Vellerton, or Vel for short, and today we're gonna go over some Harry Potter headcanons that will make your heart ache. Now, this original idea is from a creator on TikTok that goes by the name of Patronus Charm. I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. Go follow them, go show them some love and support, because I got this idea from seeing their TikTok about it. Now, some of these headcanons are actually really sad. Some of these headcanons don't necessarily make all too much sense. You'll see why when we go over them, but nonetheless they all are interesting and I think deserve some attention. So without further ado, let's get into the very first one. Dobby wrote in his will that he wanted to leave over 200 pairs of socks to the great Harry Potter. Okay, so like this is why you got to be careful when you do headcanon stuff like this. Like when you want to add your own stuff on top of the story, or just like, you know what I'm saying, like, because like this, it makes sense and it sounds like, dang, like that's so sad. Like Dobby loved the present he got from Harry Potter, with Harry giving him the socks so much, and Harry meant so much to him that he wanted to give him over 200 pairs. But then if you just think like a little bit more, you get to thinking like, wait, Dobby has a will? Wait, Dobby was allowed to have a will? Wait, before Dobby died, house elves got more rights? And the answer for all those would be no. Dobby never got more rights. Dobby never had a will, and it never would have been possible. Now the thought is there. I see where they were going with this, but with having this one be one of their headcanons. Like I see where they were going with it, but to me at least, a good headcanon has to somewhat make sense with the source material. And as nothing really happened for house elves to think they would be able to have a will or anything like that, or even how Dobby would come across 200 pairs of socks, it just kind of falls apart for me. On top of, I don't ever think he would care about anything like a will, let alone I don't think he knows what that is. Next up, we got Ron's boggart went from spiders to Hermione screaming and being tortured by Bellatrix. Now this one does truly hurt. Now this is something that really makes my heart ache, because not only does it make sense for Ron as a character for something like this to happen, it also makes sense in the story itself. Whereas the last one was Dobby, I explained why it kind of fell flat for me, like it didn't all the way make sense to me. This one makes 100% sense, and I can see this actually being the case. Like if J.K. Rowling wanted to write, and the website Pottermore, whatever it's called now, that Ron's boggart turned into Hermione being tortured, I would believe it. Like I'd be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now this is absolutely terrible. I don't think anyone would actually like want this to be the case for Ron, because being terrified of spiders is much better than your biggest fear that's like you think about all the time is your significant other being tortured. Like that's painful. But it does make me actually really interested now to like, I low-key want to see something like this. Like Harry Potter should get a what if series. A what if series with Harry Potter would be amazing. And this is something I'd like to see. Ron dealing with the PTSD of the Wizarding War and something like this happening. Maybe, because if you guys don't know, after the events of the Harry Potter books, Ron and Harry joined the Aurors. Ron only did it for a few years. Like they were just rounding up all the leftover Death Eaters after Voldemort died. And Ron only did it for like, I don't know the exact amount of time, but he only did it for a few years. Whereas Harry went on to build a lifelong career with it, as well as being the youngest head of the Auror office. But if we got a what if series, or even a continuation, like a full-on series of those events that happened after Voldemort was taken down, it'd be interesting to see Ron being in the field or something like that, them looking for a Death Eater, and him coming across a boggart, Hermione being tortured by Bellatrix, and Ron being too terrified to do anything, to say ridiculous, to make the boggart go away. But yeah, this one does really crunch your soul. Next, we got Draco's boggart was his father. Now this one I don't really agree with at all. Like, look, I know it's a headcanon, but like I said, we're putting a little bit of logic into it to see if it makes sense or not. Now this one, it don't really make sense to me. Now in the movies, Jason Isaacs did portray Lucius to be more of like a strict father, but in the books, he was never really shown to be that at all towards Draco. He was always shown to be spoiled and like getting whatever he wants, which is part of the way he acts the way he does. At home, he's the center of attention. He's actually exactly like Dudley. But even though in the movies, there was still not enough shown in the movie to lead you to believe that Draco's boggart was Lucius. I don't think there's enough to say that, even as a headcanon. Like, no. And I can't think off the top of my head right now what would be a good boggart for Draco, because I honestly don't know. But I'm gonna put some more thought into that and get back to y'all. Next, we got after Fred Weasley died, his spoon fell off of the family clock. Now that one does sting a lot. If you don't know, Fred is my Like, if I could bring any one person back to life in Harry Potter, it'd be Fred. Like, he did not deserve to die. He didn't deserve what happened to him. It was so messed up, bro. So messed up. And he died, he died with a smile on his face in front of Percy. Like, that's just, man, that hurts. And even J.K. Rowling said she regrets killing Fred. Like, that is just tough, man. Fred and George only got like 18, 19 years together, man. Like, it sucks. Dang. But this is I'd say this is a good headcanon. This is like, it makes sense with the story and source material and whatever. I don't know if that's really how the clock works, but again, it's a headcanon. So the clock sensed danger for everyone in the family. So for all we know, this spoon could just fall off after he dies. So we'll give that one a passing grade. That's a good headcanon. It makes sense. In the books, Harry's first words about Professor Snape were, "Who is this man?" His last words about him were, "He was the bravest man I ever met." You know, this one, I don't actually think it's a headcanon. I think this is facts about the book. So I don't know if the person made this knowing this was already in the books. And again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I've heard this before, and I think this is actually true to the books and stuff. So I don't think this is a headcanon. This is just facts. After Fred died, the Weasleys came back home and found all the mirrors and windows shattered. Shortly after, they found George sitting in the kitchen crying because all he saw was Fred. Dang. Now that's heavy, that's deep. And I know grief can make people do some crazy things, losing a loved one, especially George losing his twin, his best friend. So normally I don't think that's any behavior that George or Fred would have done, but after losing Fred, who knows, that could be possible. I'd say this is a decent headcanon. It's a little bit, you know what I'm saying, I think a good headcanon doesn't go into too much detail. This went into a lot of detail, but I think it's, you know, it's cool. It's all right. I respect the idea and I respect the effort gone into it, and it makes sense. After the war, Minerva hung up paintings of all the students that had died. Off rip, I say it's a decent headcanon. I'm not gonna call it like great. I'm not gonna call it amazing. I haven't seen any examples of McGonagall doing anything like this, so I don't know if she would. But I don't want to necessarily call it fully out of character, because like, she was never someone to show affection, at least not very often. Like, she's someone like, let's say you get into a fight, right, at school, and you were fighting this one kid because they were bullying another kid, right? And then you go home and your mom is strict with you, she's stern with you, tells you shouldn't be doing stuff like that, and that you can't just be hitting people like that for no reason and stuff. But then at the end, she like, did you win? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? She give you a little smile. That's like kind of how I think of McGonagall. She'll go stern on you, and then she'll show her affection just a little bit. But I don't know if she'd hang up all the students that died in the war. But I like the idea. I like the sentiment. It makes sense. So we'll give it a pass. First year snuck out to fight in the Battle of Hogwarts, and a lot of them died. They were only 11 years old. Dang, that's your headcanon? that's dang. Like, you dang. 11-year-olds, really? Dang, man, that's tough. Look, already, I can't give this a pass. I can't. Because most of the kids that weren't supposed to be there were out of there already. I think it was kids of age could stay and fight in the Battle of Hogwarts, and everyone else had to leave. And there was an escort. There was only a few people that didn't leave when they were supposed to. Like Colin Creevey, rest in peace to GOAT, Colin Creevey, but there was only a few that we know of that snuck through. I just don't think a bunch of first years, one, would want to fight Voldemort, and I don't think a bunch of them would sneak back into, like, I just don't think so. And then to say that most of them, that'd be implying that most snuck in to fight. No, we ain't doing that. When Remus saw Harry for the first time, he thought he was dreaming because he thought Harry was James. Now, this might be the best one we've seen all day. This might be the best one. This makes the most sense, more than any of these other ones we've talked about already. It's been said countless times how much Harry looks like James, to the point of them being almost identical. Like, it's crazy how much they looked alike. That's what everyone always said. And it was always pointed out. It wasn't just that Harry has his mother's eyes. It was always that he looks so much like James. So Remus seeing Harry for the first time and thinking he's dreaming because he looks exactly like James, it's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous to say that. So this one breaks the scale. This one just like, amazing. This headcanon I love. Xenophilius Lovegood died not knowing if his daughter, Luna Lovegood, was alive or not. Ladies and gentlemen, this might be the worst one. I'm not gonna lie. This might be the worst one we've seen today. Not just because of the idea of it. It might be the worst one because Xenophilius didn't die. I don't know if this person has only watched the movies, because low-key, it seems that way, but Xenophilius didn't die. I think this is like, this person's like implying or something that Xenophilius died when the Death Eaters came for Harry and Ron and Hermione, and they had to escape from his house when he was trying to keep them there. He went to Azkaban for a little bit, for sure. But he didn't die. So this one going to be like a 0 out of 10, 0 out of 100. It just don't make sense. The headcanon doesn't work against the source material. Now, if Xenophilius did die, well, if he did die, this would have been more facts than a headcanon. So either way, it wouldn't have worked. And the last one we have today is Minerva didn't let the Slytherins fight in the Battle of Hogwarts. She sent them to the dungeons because she didn't want them to have to choose between their family or their friends. This one might be the most interesting here. Like, this one might make you think the most. As far as headcanon ideas go, this might be the best idea here. This one like might make you think the most, because it's definitely making me think the most. Like, this could have worked, but also like, I don't think it would have been the only reason. And remember, the dungeons is not as bad as it may sound. If y'all don't remember, the dungeons is where the Slytherin's house is. So that's where they, like, she pretty much just sent them to the rooms. But also, we have to remember, not every single Slytherin's parents are Death Eaters. So there's also that, okay? Not all of them are Death Eaters. So this wouldn't just directly, apply. Like, no, they're not all Death Eaters. But I do like this idea. I think I'm gonna definitely give this idea a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. We'll give it an 8 out of 10. That one was one of the better ones we got this episode. That is all I have for y'all today. Let me know which of these headcanons was your favorite in the comments down below, or if you have some other headcanons of yours, put those down in the comments also. If I had to give all these headcanons a rating, or the entire list in general, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Simply because a couple of them were facts from the books. One of them just didn't make sense because it never happened. And the other just wouldn't happen based off of the source material. I don't know. Maybe I'm just chatting though.